Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Good morning and welcome to the talk show, All Things Moore County, and welcome, Dorothy, to...
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you.
It's our first show of the year.
It's our first show of the year. Here we are the day after New Year's, and it's hard to believe that we're in the middle of our 7th year.
Amazing how time flies, isn't it?
Of doing the show. It started in August of 2009, and it's amazing. You know, each year I worry and I wonder, what are we going to do this year? What kind of guests are we going to bring in?
All kinds of different guests.
But it always seems to work out, and it's not anything we stress about.
Nope.
And people, I think, are getting more familiar with the show.
Yes.
And it's like when we have people that come in, especially who are local to Moore County, who grew up here, who have a history here, those shows tend to resonate quite a bit. Because people take an interest. And I'm kind of describing, in a way, our guest for our first show this year, and that's Billy Marts.
I think he has a Superman costume underneath his clothes because he does some amazing things.
He has turbocharged shoes.
That's it.
Or sneakers that get him from place to place.
That's it.
And so for people who are online, which is something we're going to be talking about today because it's amazing how many people are online, where they get their information from. I think they're all, Billy, familiar with the Aberdeen Times. You're all over Facebook. You have a fascinating online news business. So we started this show in 2009, and you started the Aberdeen Times in 2011. I think we were in our 2nd year.
That's correct. We started in 2011.
And it's been there's so many people that I know who are familiar with the Aberdeen Times, and they all say to me, we get our news from the Aberdeen Times. We don't have to wait for things to be posted by news agencies. It's always there it seems like within minutes or an hour or so after something happens. And our world has changed in how people get information, hasn't it?
It really has. We focused on the breaking news, the news that's happening now. We live in a want it now society.
Right.
People drive by an accident and they want to know what's going on. People hear about an incident, a robbery or a shooting or another incident, and they want to know about it. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to know about it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. They want to know about it today. Mm-hmm. So we go out and cover breaking news as it's happening. Mm-hmm. Typically, we have a news story up within an hour to an hour and a half of it happening. Like you said, we started in 2011 with a very basic website, but quickly gained a growing following.
I would say so.
Over the years, we've upgraded our website, and that following has continued to grow.
Mm-hmm. Back in 1997, I have to tell you a quick story, and then you can just fill right in. I had a friend who was in the paper material business. He would sell paper from Canada to newspaper agencies all throughout the country. And if I'm not mistaken, in the early 90s is when the Internet started to grow, as Al Gore said he invented it. And I said to my friend Eddie, we were playing golf one day, and I said, what are you going to do in 15 or 20 years? Who's going to buy a newspaper? And he said, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking. People will always want to have a cup of coffee and read a newspaper. And I said, yeah, he's probably right. It's something we all grew up with. That was 19 years ago. He's no longer in the paper supply business. What has happened that there's been a tremendous shift in how people get their information.
That's true. I personally am a big fan of a printed paper.
Right.
You know, I wake up every morning to my Fayetteville Observer. Big fan of a printed paper.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm an end of an era. The younger generation especially gets their news digitally.
Right.
But even the older generation, you'll be surprised at how many people of all ages
Mm-hmm.
get their news digitally.
Mm-hmm.
But the younger generation especially just doesn't read a newspaper.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that less and less of them will.
Right.
So I don't know, and I think the newspapers that are making it out there are finding a balance between online news and that immediate reporting,
Right.
and being able to still put out a good print product.
Right.
And those are the ones that are making it. And the Fayetteville Observer does a real good job with that. If you ever notice, they've got a good quality
Yep.
website and a good quality print product,
Right.
and they're one of my favorites.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Were you in the newspaper business prior to 2011?
I worked freelance for the Moore County Independent briefly.
I remember the Moore County Independent.
Yeah. I started out in the EMS rescue and fire business years ago.
Right.
I had an interest in wanting to report the news. I felt like there was a lack of reporting breaking news in Moore County.
Right.
And I felt a calling to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and started looking for an outlet.
Mm-hmm.
The Moore County Independent gave me that opportunity. When they closed, I applied with several other local media outlets,
Mm-hmm.
and didn't receive any response. So I thought to myself, well, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I built a basic website, bought a camera, went around and talked to all the fire chiefs and all the police chiefs and told them what I was going to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
and started reporting the news.
And so people can go onto the Aberdeen Times, so everyone knows, is nothing but an online presence. It is not a paper per se.
It is not we do not print a printed edition. Initially when I started, my goal was to have an online paper, an online news source, and do a printed paper once a week. Our website was so phenomenally successful, I gave up on the printed paper pretty soon after we started.
Okay.
When you look at the cost of a printed paper,
Right.
and the staff of having to do a printed paper versus the cost of a website and the staffing of doing a website,
Mm-hmm.
it's a no-brainer.
We, last week, I don't know if you happened to hear our show, we were speaking to J.D. Zumwalt and Nick Paserno. J.D. is a candidate for the state representative District 52. And they came on, and they have a primary in March. And so I asked J.D. how is he going to market his message. He didn't say he was going to take out a lot of print ads. He didn't say he was going to do a lot of TV. He said that he was going to, and he's a writer, he enjoys the process of writing and expressing himself, through the national blog that he has, which is called No More Good Old Boys, Moore, and his Facebook page. And since the show last week, there are so many people who have gone on to his sites to respond, A, to the show, and then his positions. And you're watching, it's like an anatomy of an election happening right in front of your computer screen.
Right.
Does the political arena give you an opportunity that maybe you didn't have before, aside from strictly breaking news?
Actually, one of the things that's made Aberdeen Times successful is I have avoided politics and reporting politics at all costs.
Dorothy put her thumb up.
To be honest with you, I don't have the manpower.
Right.
And number two, there's nothing you can do. You're going to make somebody mad no matter what you report. So at the very beginning, I made the decision to stay out of reporting politics.
Okay.
What I do is like during the filing period.
Right.
I allowed each candidate who filed to send in in their own words,
Right.
a statement stating that they filed and what their position is.
Right. And I saw one of them posted recently on JD. I think it was a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but other than that, I avoid politics like the plague.
You do, huh?
Yeah, I leave that to other folks.
Okay. Does your online, I'll call it an online paper, although it's on a paper, does it allow for political banners or advertisers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Every election I've had political advertisers.
What about public information? What if people go to the Aberdeen Times? One of the biggest confusing things about voting day is people don't know where to go, where they're registered, where their site is, their address. Would you consider publishing that kind of information?
Public information, certainly.
Okay.
Yes. And like on election night, I post results and things like that.
Sure.
And like government meetings, we always post agendas for public meetings and things like that. We do per se participate in the process.
Okay.
Before every Moore County commissioners meeting, we publish the agenda.
Okay.
Before many of our town meetings, we publish their agendas.
Okay.
So that people who are who might have an interest know what's going to come up.
Okay.
And have the opportunity to go if they want to. But that's about as involved in politics as we choose Aberdeen Times to be.
Okay. You want to give the public information on things that are happening in a very timely way. I grew up as a kid in the 50s and the 60s and the early 70s. I grew up watching Walter Cronkite on the news.
Yep.
When the 6 o'clock news was 30 minutes, and basically it was just the news that was read off a ticker. There was no editorializing. There were no...
It was the facts.
Yeah. There were no opinions. And last week, in talking with Nick Pacerno and with J.D. Zumwalt, we talked about how sick and tired we are of the term breaking news when a CNN or a Fox network posts it on Arbor Day, breaking news. Everything is breaking news.
Right.
People are, I think they're numb because it's not news, it's entertainment.
Right.
And it's misinformation.
Well, and it's usually leaning one way or the other.
No kidding. Really? You think so?
Oh.
You think Fox and CNN have political leanings?
I think just about...
Just a little?
Just about every media outlet out there. That's why we've tried really hard. If you go to Aberdeen Times, you're pretty much going to find the facts. The what, the when, the where. Our articles are pretty short.
Yep.
But it's because we're going to tell you what happened, where it happened, when it happened, if relevant, who was involved. We try our best to keep opinions out.
Right.
And just report the facts.
So, in what you just said, that is a breath of fresh air because that's just goes against the grain of what everybody else is trying to do, where there's such a toxic environment out there between the battling media, the TV stations, the news. Everyone is trying to get a piece of the pie, and they're sensationalist, and they create drama. You're probably smart to stay out of the political arena, but in truth, on the local level, Moore County, it's not like the national level. It's not like that. It's just about what's in the best interest of the people who live here.
If I was chasing readers, I think I would go chase politics.
Okay.
But I'm not chasing readers.
Okay. All right.
I'm just out to report the news. And to be honest with you, I'm working 24/7, 365 as it is.
Yeah. You look like you could use a good meal too. I mean, you look like you are like you must be running around. Dorothy wasn't kidding when she said, "Do you have a Superman cape?"
My wife and I both are very much. This is a lifestyle for us. It is not a job.
Right. That's great.
You know, while I'm sitting here talking to you, she's at home putting up news articles.
Right.
We both are very committed to what we do.
Obviously.
You know, I worked Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah.
On news stories.
Yeah.
It's not what we do. It's who we are.
That's very well said. When you get up in the morning, you don't always know where your day is going to go, but every day is it's like going to the horse races. You don't know which horse is going to come in first, and that makes it exciting. But every day is an adventure. Every day is an adventure.
Right. You know, and you know, a lot of our days are very, very happy days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get to meet a lot of very interesting people like yourself.
There you go. Like good for you.
You know,
yep. Mm-hmm.
I've got to meet a tremendous amount of people all over Moore County.
Right.
Because we're called Aberdeen Times, but truly we cover news all across Moore County, and we have readers from one end of Moore County to the other.
Mm-hmm.
People would be surprised to find that Pinehurst is our number one most read market.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. And that's an older demographic.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
There again, you know, yeah. A lot of people would find that surprising.
Right.
That Pinehurst is our number one most read market.
Right.
But, you know, we have a strong following in the northern end of the market.
Yeah.
Because we go there and we cover their news.
Yeah. Let's stop there for a second and take a break and come back in the second set. We're speaking all about the Aberdeen Times and the unbelievable impact that it has made since it's been in existence since 2011. It's become a very staple item of reading for a lot of Moore County citizens, and we're speaking with the owner, Billy Marts. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to the second set of our first show of 2016, talking all about the Aberdeen Times with owner Billy Marts. You were making a statement in between the breaks that was an amazing statement to me, and it had to do with the number of Facebook people you have lined up on your site. I guess how many likes you have or how many people follow you.
Yeah, we're right at 21,000 followers on Facebook.
That's almost 20%. It's about 20% of the entire population of Moore County.
Yeah, we in
goodness.
Yeah, and slightly more than double than any other media agency in Moore County.
So that's really interesting. It's nice to know that some people are just looking for the facts, as you say, and not the sizzle. They want the steak.
Right.
And that's what you're delivering.
Correct.
You're a native of Moore County?
Correct. Actually, third generation.
Are you really?
Yeah. My grandparents lived here. My parents lived here, and I've lived here, and now my kids have grown up here. As a matter of fact, my grandkids are going to school here now.
Really?
Yep.
You have grandkids? Wow. Did you grow up in Aberdeen?
Grew up in Aberdeen, went to Aberdeen schools, correct.
Aberdeen, as a town, in the last 10 years, has been undergoing a lot of great changes. Very vibrant.
All of Moore County has
Yep.
seen a lot of great changes. I think our whole county has undergone a phenomenal change.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to leave here 5 years ago and come back,
you wouldn't recognize.
You would not recognize Moore County.
How do you feel about that, being a native? Because I came here in '99, but I first came here in '79 when it was just a a very slow area.
Well, I grew up where your mom could kick you out the door at lunchtime and you didn't have to come home till dinner time, and it was safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of miss those days.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a time when we didn't have a million stoplights and all the traffic, so I kind of miss that time.
You remind me of David Woodruff.
But other than those exceptions, you know, I do miss the good old days, so to speak.
You've seen a lot of changes where today there aren't as many native Southerners who are here, but so many transplants who now call Moore County home.
That doesn't bother me, though.
Good. Yeah.
You know, I think everybody who calls Moore County home is welcome to call Moore County home.
I agree with you.
That part doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
The traffic bothers me.
Yeah.
But luckily I'm from here, so I know all the back roads.
Yeah. I had a brother come and visit. My brother came to visit me last weekend, 2 weekends ago actually, from the northern New Jersey, New York area, and he would just laugh at me when I would complain or huff and puff about the traffic. And he said, you forgot how bad it is up here. This is nothing.
Right.
I said, Ray, it's nothing to you, but I said, after a while you live here, you're so used to zipping around, and now you can't.
Right.
And you know what the problem with the traffic is, I think? It's the various ages of drivers. It's not the number of cars. You have drivers from age 16 on up to 90.
Right.
And God forbid you get them all on the same road. Some go fast, some go slow. You just say, oh my God, what am I going to do? That's a problem. Did you know David Woodruff, who wrote the book Taproots?
No.
David passed away earlier this year. He wrote a book. He grew up in Southern Pines. And in the book Taproots, he talks a lot about the history of Southern Pines and his memories as a kid growing up here. He went to what used to be the high school, where it's the Southern Pines Elementary now on May Street. But he talked the same way, wistfully thinking about the days when there was no traffic. You could go out all day and be safe and come home at night. And today that's not quite the same. There have also been, I need to ask you this, there have been a lot of citizen groups who have gotten together. We had one gentleman on from Pinehurst, like a community watch, and it's been very effective. You work with agencies like that in reporting the news, or do you work directly with the police stations?
Well, actually a lot of both.
Okay.
I work directly with all the law enforcement agencies in Moore County.
Okay.
Have a very good working relationship with all of the emergency agencies, period. The fire departments, EMS, public safety, the sheriff's department, all the police departments. All of the nonprofit agencies in Moore County are always welcome to send us news releases, and they do.
For PSAs. Mm-hmm.
That's where we get a lot of our information, is from them sending it to us.
Right.
So we're always more than happy to share. And whether it's a community watch organization or a pet care organization, mm-hmm. or a local VFW or whoever it may be, we like to reach out and help the community in any way we can.
Yeah. In some ways, we try to do the same thing on the radio show each week. Our litmus test here for a show is not to advertise somebody's business, but to give the public good information about different things that are available to them. But it's not a sales job. That's not what we're about here.
Right.
And
you're educating the public.
Yeah, I think so. And that's exactly what I think you're talking about,
right.
Doing with the online presence. There are so many websites in and around Moore County today that give all the new families that are moving into town good information. There's a website called sandhillskids.com.
Yep.
You're familiar with them.
Yep.
the Sandhills Online. Oh, the list goes on and on. More choices.
Well, between websites and Facebook pages, there are literally dozens and dozens
Right.
and dozens. You're correct.
And you don't have to go out of your house to order groceries. You don't have to, I mean, you could just lock yourself in. You could get all the information you need. You could have food delivered to your... It's crazy. The world, it's a crazy place. Is Aberdeen home for you now still?
Actually, my wife and I, about 18 months ago, Aberdeen Times started in Aberdeen.
Okay.
But about 18 months ago, we decided that we wanted to make a real push to become more of a countywide presence.
Okay.
So we moved to Carthage
Okay.
so that we would be more centrally located.
Right.
And it's helped us become more of a countywide presence. From where we live, I can be anywhere in the county in basically 20 to 25 minutes at the most.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So we did it very deliberately.
Yeah.
So for the last 18 months, I've called Carthage home, and I love Carthage. You know, I had never lived there before this, but love calling it home now. I miss Aberdeen because I've lived there my whole life.
Yeah.
I still go back and visit Mom and Dad regularly.
Yeah, well, the fact that everyone knows it as the Aberdeen Times gives the town a lot of kudos and credit and keeps it on the forefront. That entire retail environment in downtown Aberdeen has really changed. And I remember when there used to be just a few antique shops. And you would go down there and just walk into some of these old stores, and it was like you were in the Twilight Zone. Today, it's vibrant. It's a younger group of people.
A lot of hard work is going into downtown Aberdeen.
A lot. Yeah, it's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
The Recs and Park Department is taking a very proactive role, and it's become a real good destination, just like Pinehurst, just like Southern Pines, or Carthage, or Whispering Pines, or Seven Lakes. It just makes Moore County, you know, we always say it's just such a great place to live, and that's Aberdeen is certainly one of those reasons.
Yeah, all of Moore County is
Yeah.
truly a great place to call home.
Yeah. So you're going to be an ambassador for Moore County. I get that impression after all these years.
I work hard at it already. You know, I work regularly with WRL Channel 5
Okay.
and WNCN Channel 17, the Fayetteville Observer out of Fayetteville. So with our stories that happen here that have a more regional value, to share those stories
Right.
outside of Moore County.
Right. Let's do this. Let's come back in the third set. I want to talk about your wife.
Okay.
I want to talk about probably the 50 or 60 people you have working for you, just to gather all this information. I want to find out about the organization. Want to find out how we can give information to people about what advertising opportunities you might have. You've already said you open the door to nonprofits. There's so many great organizations here that have a need to be. And you guys clearly, with 21,000 Facebook followers, you have twice as much of an online following than any news agency in Moore County. That's in itself is something that everybody should listen to. We're talking to the owner of the Aberdeen Times, Billy Marts. We'll be right back.
In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crowd. There's always something happening, and it's usually quiet. In the middle of our street, our house. In the middle of our house, it has a crowd.
Welcome back to our conversation with the owner of the Aberdeen Times, Billy Marts. I was kind of joking with you a little bit at the end of the second set. You and your wife, Beth, started this business in 2011.
That's correct.
And I was kind of joking about the 50 or 60 employees that you have. Can you talk a little bit about your organization and your manpower and, how you have created this news juggernaut?
Well, there are only two of us working full-time, and that's Beth and I.
That's amazing.
I focus full-time on the news. She does all the advertising sales and spends the rest of her time working on the news. And then we've got a couple of people who work freelance and as needed.
Okay.
In 2016, we're hoping to hire a couple people part-time to cover a couple of specific areas that we would like to see grow.
I don't understand how you can cover so much with just two people.
We work really, really, really hard.
How many hours in a day do you work?
Typically, we're both working 16 to 18-hour days, 7 days a week.
Jeez. They didn't teach you this stuff in high school or college, did they?
Oh, no.
How to do this?
No.
This is about when you do something that is a passion, it's not a job, is it?
No, and you definitely have to do what we do. It is a way of life, and we do it because we love it.
Yeah.
And because we feel at this point an obligation. Our readers do depend on us. They do count on us.
Sure.
And it never stops. The phone doesn't stop ringing, the scanner doesn't stop going off, the email box doesn't stop going dang. There's always something new that has to go up.
So the website that you have, the online edition that you provide, this is free to the public.
100% free. We do not charge anybody to view anything on Aberdeen Times.
No sign-up fee, no anything. Okay. So you rely heavily on local business advertising sales.
100%.
If I had 3 or 4 of your top advertisers in the room, and you weren't here, and I asked them this question, tell me what they would say. What has your experience been advertising on the Aberdeen Times? And everybody is counting every nickel these days. Would you say that you are getting a bang for your buck? What would they say?
I would say that they would tell you they're getting results.
Okay.
We do not require a contract with any of our advertisers. We want our advertisers to stay with us because they're getting results. Many of our advertisers have been with us since we started.
Day one.
4 years ago.
Right.
We've got advertisers that have been with us for 3 years. We've got advertisers that have been with us for 2 years and for 1 year. Yes, we have had some turnover.
Yep.
Everybody does.
Sure.
But by far, we have an amazing retention rate, and it's because we get results. People's ads are seen on Aberdeen Times.
Sure they are.
We don't rotate ads like many other websites do. People's ads are there, and they're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they get results.
Can you characterize some of the advertisers that you have, all different industries?
All different industries. Everybody from Thomas Tire, Aberdeen Exterminating, Bowles Funeral Home,
Mm-hmm.
All different industries.
It's it's advertising through osmosis, isn't it? If you're going on to the Aberdeen Times, let's say the average user goes on 2 or 3 times a day, or they're reading on Facebook and they'll click on 1 or 2 articles. They keep seeing the same name over and over again, and it sort of builds up, and it creates an image of somebody that's always there. It's indirect, it's in the background, but it's there.
Well, that's what I try to tell people that advertise with us is you're building your brand.
Right.
Build your brand, build your brand, build your brand.
Right.
By your ad being there all the time, the stories are constantly changing, but your ad is always there.
Right.
And people don't even realize they're seeing it eventually, but they are seeing it.
Do you have a way of tracking? You probably do. The number of hits that you get?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I had a feeling.
I turn it on in the morning, and I don't turn it off till I go to bed at night. I track every page hit, every page view.
You do?
For every article.
When do you sleep?
Here and there.
Yeah, in between meals, right?
Yeah, here and there.
So it's a potentially it's a lot of good exposure and bang for your buck for anybody that would consider wanting to advertise their business or their brand.
Oh yeah, we have very affordable advertising rates. Number one, and number two is the exposure.
Right.
We've had 590,000 page views in the last 30 days. I checked this morning before I came to work.
Almost 600,000?
Almost 600,000 page views in the last 30 days on AberdeenTimes.com. And that's for the whole website. But slightly over 500,000 page views in 30 days.
Yeah. I do notice also that you are very timely in honoring people's families when someone passes away. You post obituaries, and you don't charge for that, do you?
No, sir, we don't. All of our obituaries are posted for free. We provide that as a service. There again, it's paid for through advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
We have advertisers that advertise on our obituary page, and we don't charge the families or the funeral homes for posting an obituary. We also share our obituaries on our Facebook page, which lets people find out about the obituaries
right.
in a much more timely fashion.
Right. Goodness. So Pinehurst, I'm just going to read the top Moore County visitor locations according to your stats. Pinehurst number 1, Southern Pines number 2, Carthage, Seven Lakes. Interesting. Aberdeen number 5.
Correct.
We need to shake that up a little bit, huh?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do, if you look at that, is also demographics.
Yeah.
Is how many people live in each of those areas.
Yeah.
Partially.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got Robbins and Highfall, Vass Cameron, and West End. Those are your top 8 locations. I like that you support a lot of the nonprofit groups because we've had so many of them on this show. And, everybody in Moore County is a giving community, without question. And yet there are so many causes and there are so many people in need. You've got a county, a tale of almost 2 stories in Moore County, with Northern Moore and Southern Moore. And it's hard sometimes. My mom used to always teach me as a kid, it's hard to enjoy what you have sometimes when you know that there are others who don't. And in Moore County, I always find that to be true. And speaking to a lot of my guests, I've spent some time at the Coalition, and anybody who, I'm sure you've been there, you're familiar. Anybody who thinks they have issues or problems, all they need to do is go over and tour it and see what goes on. And there are always people who are better off than you are.
Correct.
And you highlight those people.
Yeah, and in any nonprofit organization that would like to share anything, all they have to do is email it to us. Editor at AberdeenTimes.com. We're always happy to share a nonprofit's
anything that's a public service
yeah,
announcement.
Yeah, anything that they've got that they would like to share, we're always happy to share for a nonprofit.
What about classifieds? Do you do classifieds?
We currently don't have a classified section, but my web designer is working on one as we speak.
Yeah.
And we're shortly after the first of the year, we will be adding a classified section.
Okay.
But we don't have one at the moment.
So if people want to, reach you, they can just email you to editor at AberdeenTimes.com.
Correct.
And that would be the same for potential advertisers?
Correct.
Yeah. What do you see, what would you like to see happen to your paper as 2016 is in front of us and 2017? What kind of changes, what kind of add-ons, What do you foresee or hope for in the future?
Well, we've got a couple things in the works already. You know, we're as I just mentioned, we're adding the classified section. We're going to modernize a couple of our sections that are being done manually now, that are going to eventually be done automated, so that it'll take a little bit of the work off us. And those are also in the process. We're hoping, as I mentioned earlier, we're hoping to hire a couple people to add some reporting in some specific areas that we'd like to see growing.
To be your eyes and ears in different areas that you can't get to?
Right.
Okay.
And just continue to grow. You know, we've had, at Aberdeen Times, we've enjoyed a nice, steady growth. We haven't looked for big spikes. We've been happy with a nice, steady climb. And that's what we've wanted, is that nice, steady climb. And if we can maintain that in 2016 through 2017, we'll be happy.
Did you get involved in the high school incident a few weeks ago with the Board of Education, or Pinecrest High School, and Coach Metzger reporting on the story about him? I think, did I see that from you, or did I see that from someone else?
Yeah, we went to it and kept an eye on it, monitored it, yes.
Yeah, I have to recall where I saw it because, especially on Facebook, there's so much information, and there were groups being formed very quickly in support of him, of Coach Metzger. But you were just reporting the facts. You weren't taking a position per se.
Oh yes, we just reported what happened at that time.
Yeah.
This second go round, when all the rumors and stuff started floating around, we stayed out of that one because nothing official came out. That was all hearsay and rumor.
Exactly.
So we stayed out of that one and haven't reported anything until something official comes out from the school system.
Wouldn't it be refreshing if the news stations today would say, we have a news report, and then we have rumor, innuendo, and gossip, and we're going to throw that in editorials out at you,
right?
So people can differentiate what's news and what's just opinion, and
right,
not always fact based.
Right.
Yeah. You're a purist, aren't you?
When it comes to the news, I'm pretty picky.
Yeah. If Walter Cronkite were around today, I think he would probably nod his head in encouragement for what you're doing and the way you're trying to do it. Not being too political about anything, just report the news as you know the facts.
Yeah, we try really hard to keep it to the facts and the what, when, and where.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're going to wind up running into each other here down the road this year in 2016, and I would encourage anybody who's not aware of Aberdeen Times to go on Facebook, like their page. It will become addictive. It becomes like a daily exercise, and it's, at least you know the information that you're going to get there is straight information and not just opinion and not just somebody trying to be right and making somebody wrong. It's just, here's some information that happened. Here are the facts. So you do Moore County a great service, and I wish you the best of luck this year. This will be your fourth year? No, your fifth year coming up.
Correct.
Jeez, terrific. I'm sorry your wife couldn't be with us, but she is a main cog with you, and you probably haven't spoken about her as much as you would have liked to.
Oh, yeah. She's, I couldn't do this without her.
Right.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But you get to do it together, and it's a passion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's something that we definitely do together, and it's a passion for both of us.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. We're glad you were the first show of 2016.
Well, I'm excited to be the first show of 2016, and,
that's right.
And thank you for inviting me.
We'll do it again. Like I said, I think we'll have a lot of reason to have our paths cross here in the upcoming year. Billy Marts from the Aberdeen Times, thank you, and everybody have a great week. Thank you.
and it's usually quite